Now, I wasn't originally going to post back-to-back UConn videos, so you'll see a video on either Notre Dame or Caitlin Clark in the coming days, but I just had to talk about this after their game against Butler. UConn have been hit hard by injuries this season, but a silver lining from it has been the immense improvements from several players on their roster, who in previous seasons were not making the kind of impact that they're making now. One of those players is Aaliyah Edwards, who has turned a corner in her collegiate career and now is one of UConn's most vital pieces in their offensive system. The versatility and dynamism she has provided the squad as of late has been incredible, giving UConn a front court edge which they haven't really experienced before. So, what's changed? In today's video, I'll be breaking down and analysing the improvements of Edwards' game, particularly in the last month, and how she's established herself as one of the most formidable front court players in the nation. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more women's basketball content like this. A like would go a really long way in helping promote and grow the game on this platform. Anyway, with that being said, let's talk about Aaliyah Edwards. Firstly, just to contextualize the sensational play of Edwards lately, let me bring up some stats. In Edwards' last 6 games, she scored 20 points or more 5 times, including a 23-point, 20-rebound demolition of the Creighton Blue Jays. She was also completely unguardable against FSU, racking up 26 points. The Florida State defense could just never find an appropriate adjustment to slow her down. Across that 6-game stretch, Edwards overall is averaging 21 points per game, 9.7 rebounds on 64% shooting. Those are All-American-like numbers, because for context, Cameron Brink, who was on 3rd team All-American last season, is averaging 13 and 9 this season with 3 blocks. Aaliyah Boston, who was 1st team All-American last season, is averaging 12 and 8 currently, and Monica Czinano from Iowa, who I project to make one of the All-American teams this season, is averaging 17 and 6. Obviously, these girls all play pretty different roles, but still, it just goes to show how dominant of a stretch this has been for Edwards, and it's coming off some solid play at the start of the season too. As I mentioned in my last video, Edwards has dramatically improved in most areas this season. She's averaging nearly 18 points per game now on the year, 10 more per game than last season, as well as over a block per game, whereas last year she averaged only half a block per game. Her efficiency is dramatically better as well, currently shooting at a 62% field goal clip on greater volume than ever before, and is also maintaining a solid percentage from the free throw line. With Olivia Nelson-Ododa going pro after last season, the window of opportunity for Edwards has never been greater, and we're seeing her take full advantage of that opportunity right now. So, let's break down some film and highlight the areas where Edwards has been taking off this season. I first want to start with Edwards' defense, because it's been significantly better lately and deserves a lot of credit. I'll get into the interior defense in a moment, but her ability to step out of the paint and read passing lanes last night was brilliant. She finished that game against Butler with 3 steals, and while I get it's only Butler, not exactly the best opponent going around, it's still impressive what she did. Take a look at this play. Forced out onto the perimeter, Edwards notices the Butler player in the corner start to shift her body towards the player that Edwards is guarding. Aaliyah then sprints into the passing lane in anticipation of the pass, which does come, and she uses her size to pick off the long swing pass and gets an easy lay-in down the other end. That split-second decision to read the pass and then get in front of her opposition to intercept the ball is great, and is not something we have seen often from Aaliyah, so I thought it was worth highlighting. She does it again here, as Aaliyah is already sprinting to close off the passing lane before Butler's player even throws the pass. The instinct from her defensively this game was just brilliant. Her interior defense and rim protection this season has also been excellent. Her most impressive defensive game this season, in my opinion, was against Iowa, where she was tasked with guarding their star big, Monica Czinano. Edwards held her to just 8 points on 3 for 7 shooting, being physical under the basket to prevent inside passes and crashing the boards hard to prevent second chance opportunities. Aaliyah ended up finishing that game with 13 rebounds to go along with her 20 points and 6 assists. That's really where a lot of the growth has come from in Edwards' game. Just her commitment to being more physical under the basket and staying strong down low. I think some teams underestimate her strength and she takes full advantage of that. Like here against Butler again. I know this isn't a defensive play, but still exuberates my point. Off the free throw miss, she aggressively rips down the board, embraces any contact from the timid Butler players and creates space, as no Butler player even tries to contest the board. It results in an easy putback, and shows how Aaliyah's mismatch potential can be such an advantage for UConn. That leads me into the offensive improvements I've seen in Edwards' game this season. One thing that stands out is her effectiveness in UConn set plays. UConn have run a lot of plays through Edwards this season, particularly with DHOs or screen and rolls, typically out at the high post like in this play I'll show you here. But Edwards' ability to read the floor in these plays far exceeds these simple actions. Like look at this read here to get it to Azzi, who loses her defender. This is just as much about Edwards reading that cut and delivering a perfect bounce pass on the money to Azzi as it is Azzi seeing the open lane and turning her defender inside out and cutting. It's smart plays like this that highlight Edwards' impact in UConn's offensive system. However, not only this, but Edwards is now a far better shot creator for herself than ever before. Her footwork on post-ups and under the rim is absolutely fantastic this season, and she uses her elite athleticism to expose slower frontcourt opponents. This play against Iowa expresses this brilliantly. She drives, creates shoulder-on-chest contact with Senechal to go into a post-up, fakes her out with a half spin toward the basket, then turns away, using her footwork to open up space, and she drills the mid-range fadeaway. That is not a simple shot to knock down, yet she makes it look absolutely effortless. Here's another example of her being physical inside and creating room for a good shot. And finally, another great fadeaway look, taking advantage of the slower Senechal contest by using her athleticism to quickly turn and rise over her. To me, it feels like Edwards' confidence as a scorer is growing exponentially with each game, and now that confidence is making her search for her own shot more often, and ultimately, that's making UConn's offense much more unpredictable and versatile. The tandem with Azzi early in the season was crucial, but now with her out, she's been elevating UConn's offense individually, whether it's through the set plays that they've been running like I mentioned before, or her getting into the post herself and scoring, or making passes out of the low block. That's why, even with several injuries, I feel like UConn have remained one of the nation's 5 best teams. A lot of it, not all of it, but a substantial amount of it comes back to Aaliyah Edwards and her play. Overall, Aaliyah Edwards has stepped up enormously for the Huskies the past month or so, and that deserves some love. I would be shocked if she's not in contention for an All-American position by the end of the season, as she's playing some of the most dominant basketball in the country right now. She's shaping up to have an elite season, and as a result, is having a bigger and bigger role in UConn games that will be needed absolutely by March. If you enjoyed this analysis, please be sure to leave it a like and subscribe. But with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.